Welcome back. You have walked 2 miles with me so far and heard me jabber on for a half an hour now, and I appreciate you hanging with me on this story. I'm definitely not a YouTube expert. This is all new for me and I don't have the best equipment, but it's really good for me to get this story down because I have other people in my life that would be happy to receive this kind of information should they need it. So thanks for hanging in with me, and hopefully I can provide more information that's useful. It is challenging walking, but I assure you my interruptions here out on the road are going to be less than they would be at home. Except for the fact that I should have brought my selfie stick. Okay. So, Dr. Esselstyn calls to continue the story. He calls, we implement the prevent and reverse heart disease diet, and my husband goes in for his second stent placement at Mercy Hospital in Des Moines, Iowa, which has tip-top cardiology care. Interestingly enough, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and we have a program called Visiting Teaching. And that's when every person in the congregation is assigned somebody to minister over them and just keep an eye on them and be a resource if anything is needed. And I happen to have been assigned to me 2 months before we knew Clark had to have his heart worked on, a cardiology nurse that worked at Mercy. And I see that as a tender mercy. And she had assured me that they were really good at fixing hearts and that he was going to be fine. And they did, in fact, give him the best of care. And they gave me the best of comfort. That morning of the second stent placement, I had the blessing of spending time with another lady from my church who volunteered to sit with me. And if you ever get a chance to sit with someone while they're waiting for a loved one to have surgery, do it. That is when your hearts, no pun intended, are knitted together forever. And I will always be grateful to this lady, Donna Jo, if you ever see this. I will always be grateful to her because I hung on to her support and love that day. So watching my husband having the second shunt placed, actually shunts in both groins this time, both sides of the groin, was worse than watching your spouse go through childbirth, I think. So they put him in that situation and wheel him off to the catheter lab. And I'm told by the doctor this will be a surgery that will take 5 to 8 hours because we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, he might end up having to have bypass because the blockage is so thick. We don't know if it got thicker over the past 6 weeks, and it was so close to the aorta. We just don't know. So expect to be here for 5 to 8 hours. So I'm sitting there with my friend and waiting, and 30 minutes later, the nurse comes out and says, "Your husband's done. We're going to be wheeling him out. Do you want to say hi to him?" And amazingly, here he comes 30 minutes later. What's going on? I was terrified because I was like, was he just totally inoperable? Am I going to be taking home someone who's 49 years old and will never be able to live a full life anymore? It was just shocking to me. The doctor comes out and he's all smiles. And he brings me and Donna Jo back with me, and to the room where they do a video report to the spouse or to the significant whoever is with them. And we get to watch this video, and he shows us the before video from 6 weeks prior with the 1-inch blockage. Then he shows us the video of a new and improved artery that I believe to this day literally needed no intervention whatsoever, except for since they were already in there, they went ahead and placed a stent just in case. And they really literally only had to punch through a tissue piece of blockage. Now think about that. If we had just waited 2 more weeks following the diet, would he even needed to go through that second surgery? I really feel in my heart that he didn't need that second surgery, and Dr. Esselstyn told me he probably wouldn't need it. But we went ahead and went through it because of the angina. The goal is to get your total cholesterol down to 150, and he had gotten his down to 130. And I will refer you to an ample amount of information on YouTube and Google of Dr. Esselstyn's lectures to explain why all of that works. I don't need to go into that here. There's plenty of free material out there from the good doctor himself and many others that support and praise his work. And since that time, think about 7 years have gone by. Think about how many more people have been saved through this approach to life. So he comes out, and the doctor says that they only needed 1 guide wire. Unfortunately, they had put the 2 shunts in, so he didn't get to have just the 1 incision. He did end up having the 2 incisions, but they only needed to put 1 guide wire in and only needed the use of 1 doctor, which saved us about $5,000. It's another thing to think about. When you're thinking about your heart health and your addiction to food. Okay, so I am addicted to food, and I've changed my lifestyle to eat a different kind of food, but I still eat way too much. But I've changed my lifestyle because I want a healthy heart, and there are many reasons to have a healthy heart. My biggest driver is I have children to raise. Because of my near-death experience that I had in 2011, I'm not afraid to die, not one single bit, but I don't want to leave my children. And so I'm taking care of my body and trying to improve and overcome my addictions. A very minor reason compared to all of the great and important life reasons, family reasons to protect your heart is the $50,000 bill that you get after the end of these type of surgeries. And it was a shocker to us that it was $50,000 for these 2 interventions that he had. And insurance covered all but $9,000 for each procedure, but we had to still come up with $18,000. And that was before Obamacare, so I'm sure it's a lot screwier now than it was back then. So we're trying hard to stay on the plan, trying hard not to cheat, and so far so good. I'm going to end this video, part 4, and part 5 is I'm going to tell you what we're doing. And I don't know how long the video will be, but thank you again, and we'll see you in part 5.